Throughout the history of the Diablo series, there are some crazy Easter eggs that you would have never thought to actually obtain or be able to see in the game. Now, some of these were available for a limited time. Some of these go way back to even Diablo 1, but we're going to go ahead and cover some of the best and craziest Easter eggs in the Diablo series. So, starting right off, I do want to go ahead and mention that we're not going to be covering every single one in this video, but more so covering the more obscure ones. For example, like the secret cow level is definitely an Easter egg, but I'm not going to cover this because everyone pretty much knows about it. I want to cover the more obscure ones or the ones that I found to be the most interesting. So these are kind of like my top favorites and some of the best secrets and Easter eggs because obviously it's Easter, right? So yeah, Diablo 2 Resurrected, and of course Diablo 2 had the secret cow level. It's actually referenced in even Diablo 3 and other video games, which is something that we will go ahead and talk about. But the first one that I actually want to go over is not the cow level, but this secret Diablo boss that can only spawn in season 19 when you get 1,000 kill streak. So what happens when you get this? You can see there's a giant pentagram forming in fire chains, and this will spawn the super uber Diablo that will one-shot you. So don't do this in hardcore. In fact, you can't really do it anyways in the game right now because season 19, well, it's kind of past. So what would happen if you got 1,000 kill streak during the season is you would spawn on this secret Diablo boss and he would just one-shot you. Eventually you can kill him. This stuff will time out, but you can see over in the health bar underneath it says physical resistant, fire resistant, lightning resistant. Basically, you weren't going to be able to eliminate this Diablo. Eventually, though, you can. It's just for a while. There's a brief moment where you can't really do anything. They don't drop anything special, but it is an Easter egg as they actually revealed with this mechanic that there was a secret at 1,000 in terms of the kill streaks. But that was a really cool Easter egg, and that one is in Diablo 3. So moving on over here, Diablo actually has a lot of references to movies, different famous people, and some of them even date back to Diablo 1. But in Diablo 2, there is the Diggler Dirk. Now, this is actually a reference to a movie called Boogie Nights, which came out in 1997. There's a lot of different references to different actors or even movies. There's tons. A lot of the names of certain items are actually going to be related to some of the people that worked on the game. One of the more notable ones is Schaefer's Hammer. There's even other names of some of the people's girlfriends that were in the game, and I thought this was pretty interesting, but they're just like names. It's not anything too special, but some of them are going to be references to movies and other things in like social media. I'll go over some of the ones that I wanted to highlight, but there are tons of like little Easter eggs that are references again to movies or some of the people that worked on the game. Like another popular one is Phil Shank, Shank the Observer. That's in Act 5 of Diablo 2. But going further down the line, like I said before, Schaefer's Hammer is kind of a popular one, as this item was in Diablo 2. It was actually a pretty solid item for a while before we got, of course, RuneWords. But on top of that, we actually have a very unique item that you can get that's actually a magic item as well. So inside of the Act 2 Sewers of Chaldeum, there is a monster that's named Moontooth Dreadshark. Now, this is one of the more interesting hidden Easter eggs and secrets because it drops an item that is called the Murlocket. Now, what does the Murlocket actually do? Because it's one of the more interesting Easter eggs. It has a secondary legendary power, but it's on a blue item. So it doesn't really do anything. It's basically, you could see for a level 70 item, this thing has basically no stats. There's also a guide if you want to farm the Murlocket by another awesome Diablo content creator, Bloodshed. Basically, you can go to that area. It's not going to be guaranteed, though, just as a heads up, in case you guys do want to go ahead and farm it. It does take many, many tries, and you can get this item. But it has a secondary legendary power that says, call forth a creature from the depths. So it doesn't do anything. It's not going to bring out something that's really good. What does it actually do? Well, it brings out a Murloc. And so it's just kind of a cool little Easter egg. It's just a cosmetic that you can get. But it's a little bit more interesting and obscure because no one would normally pick up a blue item in like max level. You would just usually pick up the item and just salvage it. A lot of people didn't actually know that this item even existed, and it's got unique artwork as well. So yeah, that is the Murlocket. Now this one's a more interesting one, and I'm not really sure what the point of this, but this is actually in Diablo 2 Resurrected as well as the base game. I'm just going to play it for a second, but I'm just going to warn you guys, if you are wearing headphones, turn your volume down just maybe a little bit, as what happens with this is you type something in, and what do you type in? You literally type in this keyword, sound chaos debug. Now if you type that in and hit enter, this is what happens. Again, just lower your headphones for a second. I'm only going to play it for like a second or two. And this works not only in Diablo 2 Resurrected, but in the base game as well. And for whatever reason, someone uploaded an hour of this. Now, what is the point of this? I don't know, but it's available in the game, and if it's supposed to debug, usually this gets removed, but nonetheless, it's kind of a secret, and some people might not know about it, and what's the point of it? Well, there's not really too much of a point, but it is interesting nonetheless. Now, this is one of the more crazy Easter eggs, and the final Easter egg in this video is by far the craziest one I think I've ever seen in a video game, but this one is really close to being at the top of the list as well. So this is actually in a Diablo 1, and it's really crazy because this is actually on the install screen. So when you're installing Diablo 1, if you screenshot it, now this is really going down the rabbit hole in terms of like how did people figure this out? So if you screenshot the game in terms of its install, and you open it up in Paint, and you put blue or any color around, it would have some secret messages. What were these secret messages? Well, there's one that says, "Buy War 2, and Natalie Portman rocks," which is a actress. Now, what's interesting is, like, I was like, dude, there's no way. There's got to be, like, this has got to be a troll. Well, there are YouTube videos out there, and even in other languages, where people are actually doing this. And yeah, you can see if you change the colors, they put a hidden message in the install file. My real question is, how did someone do this and figure this out? Like, yeah, I'm going to screenshot the install screen, throw it into Paint, and then put some colors over this specific area. Absolutely crazy. One of the more insane Easter eggs, and I would have never believed you if I didn't see someone actually do this Easter egg. Now, this one's kind of an Easter egg / lore. This one's really interesting. So, and I wanted to include it here because there's a lot of people that maybe only started playing Diablo 3, but there's a lot of really cool lore that has some of the same characters from Diablo 1, 2, and 3 in all of the series. And even in Diablo 4, there's going to maybe be some references to previous characters. Now, going over what this post says, this was actually posted 12 years ago, but it's really cool. So the warrior, rogue, and the sorcerer inside of Diablo 1 were actually characters that appear in Diablo 2. So the warrior actually becomes the Dark Wanderer. The rogue becomes the Blood Raven, which is like in the Act 1 quest. It's a boss that you kill. And the Summoner is another boss in Diablo 2, and that is actually the Sorcerer. So it's really cool to see that you can actually fight the characters that were like the main characters in Diablo 1 in the sequels. Now, I will also go kind of down the rabbit hole, and first off, let me go and show you guys some pictures. So this is Blood Raven. She's the rogue from Diablo 1. This is in D2R, and this is the Summoner, which is the sorcerer in Diablo 1. So he kind of comes back as kind of a bad guy in a sense, and I like that. It's a really cool idea. Now, this is going down the rabbit hole because this is actually, it was kind of a long thread in Dark Lord Dash's video. He's an awesome content creator that also does like a lot of lore for Diablo. But this is kind of going down the rabbit hole, and I wanted to include this one and get your guys' thoughts on this. So, Ascendra is the sorceress from Diablo 2. She's the main sorcerer. She's even actually in Diablo 3. You can see her right here. She's in the Pandemonium Fortress in Act 5 in Diablo 3 with the Reaper of Souls expansion. Now, she was actually assassinated by someone, and from what it looks like, she actually might have been assassinated by Natalia, because Natalia actually has a reference to the Demon Hunter, and there's a theory here that the Demon Hunter, because in Diablo 3 there is the Natalia's set that is for, of course, Demon Hunter. So there's a theory that as an assassin, she killed the sorcerer in Diablo 2 and essentially changes into a demon hunter, which is a very interesting. There's Natalia in Diablo 2, and apparently her skills match up with how Ascendra was assassinated. So I think that's a really cool idea, and it would be cool to see if they make some sort of reference to other characters in Diablo 4. But yeah, here is Natalia's set, and of course Natalia was an assassin, but in Diablo 3 she becomes a demon hunter. So there's another picture of Ascendra here. Now this one's actually a more interesting one, and we have contests all the time for different video games to have like your item or something in a video game, but this is actually a really cool thing that I didn't actually know about. So Glinthur's Rift is a phase blade that was actually a contest that someone actually won, and they got to have their item in Diablo 2, which is really cool. And like I said, I've been playing Diablo for many years, and I never knew this until I started looking up like Diablo Easter eggs, and this was a more interesting one because I don't think many people knew about this one, so I wanted to include it in this video. Now, Diablo 3 actually has a lot of Easter eggs with different celebrities celebrities and things, and this one is a very interesting one. So if you guys know the EDM artist deadmau5, they actually used to go by Halcyon. Now this one's officially tweeted by Diablo, so we know for sure that this one is a real like collab slash reference here. So deadmau5 used to go by Halcyon, and what's really cool is this is a legendary amulet, and obviously via the artwork, it's deadmau5's like mask, and that's really cool. But it has a secondary power over here that says when you use it's any of the class's legendary like ability, like Vengeance, Wrath of the Berserker, you actually make enemies jump up and down, and it's really cool because it's kind of like that they're at like, you know, some sort of concert and they're jumping up and down. One of the coolest Easter eggs in the game, and another bonus fact is deadmau5 actually has streamed Diablo multiple times. I've seen him play some Demon Hunter, some multi-shot, and it's cool to see that they actually play the game and they are kind of in the game in a sense with their amulet. Now there are a few other celebrities slash other people's presence in Diablo, and the Flavor of Time, this is a amulet, and it's actually one of the best amulets in the entire games because you have pylon effects lasting twice as long. So what is this a reference to? This is a reference to the rapper Flava Flav when he has that necklace that has a little time on it, and it's a really cool reference. And there's another celebrity reference as well, but going into this other one that I wanted to cover real quick before we hop into that one is there is an area that's called Development Hell, and it's in the Cemetery of the Forsaken. And so what this is an area where you can actually find a bunch of the people that worked on the game. Their names are actually in the game. This is in Diablo 3. So you can see that their names there, you can eliminate them. They don't drop anything as far as I'm aware of in terms of like special items here. And then there's no really point to farm it, but it's a random thing that can spawn in. It doesn't always spawn in, but if you go to Cemetery of the Forsaken, which is in Act 1 Diablo 3, you can actually fight some of the people that worked on the game. So that's kind of cool. But Kimbo Slice, I'm sure some of you guys remember him back in the day when the early days of the internet. You can see he's got a necklace and it's got like a hand over here. Well, it's kind of a closed fist because he's a fighter. But there is an item in Diablo 3 called Kimbo's Gold, and you can see it's got a hand and it's not clenching its fist, but it's kind of an open fist and it's holding a coin, and it's called Kimbo's Gold. I think that's a reference to Kimbo Slice, which I think is really cool. Now, this is one of the more crazier Easter eggs, and it requires you to actually open up the Hellfire directory, and you have to create a file, and it requires you to type something in, and this accesses a secret area of the game. Now, Hellfire was I believe it was a Sierra expansion for Diablo 1, and it had a lot of very, very interesting things in the game. It actually added a lot more cool, unique mechanics that we eventually saw in other video games like Path of Exile, like the oil enhancement is very similar to the whetstones and armor scrap, but nonetheless, this is a really crazy Easter egg. And what does it actually do? Well, it actually gives you the bovine play. This is from Dark Lord Dash. He does a lot of really cool, like, interesting things in Diablo, so definitely check him out as well. But the bovine play is a very unique thing in the game. Now, what does it do? Well, it's indestructible. It gives you 50 to light radius, which is not really the most useful thing, but it gives you all resist 30%, negative 50 mana, and spells are decreased by 2 levels. There's a really weird quest where someone actually becomes in a cow suit, and again, to find this out, you have to go change the files of the game. Very, very crazy. Now, next up, this was actually with the Darkening of Tristram event in Diablo 3. This only happens, I believe, in March every single year, so you can still do this one, but right now, you're going to have to wait, or is it February? I just know, actually, wait, hold on, this is 2 years ago. But anyways, nonetheless, this happens every year, so you can go back whenever the event happens to go live again. It might be January, February. I'll let you guys know when it comes back, but it's like earlier in the year, they had this event, and it only lasts like about a month. And what you can do with this event is there's a secret warts leg that you can actually craft. Now, when you craft the warts leg, you can actually salvage it. And then what you have to, this is a crazy, crazy Easter egg. Then you have to go to these several different areas and activate and click these cows in a very certain area. Then another area opens up called the Abandoned Farmstead. You will then go in here, and this is really cryptic because you have to collect like the magic mushroom, and you got to collect all these things and then do these things in a certain order. You got to get this paper. But at the very end over here, this is kind of like a secret cow level, although in Diablo 3, there's an area called not the cow level. But if you open up this chest over here, you can get the cow pet. Now, I already had the cow pet, so it doesn't show, the cow pet dropping. But yeah, there's a bunch of cows just grazing, and it looks kind of like another area similar to Tristram, but that's how you get one of the pets in the game that a lot of people want. It's called the Royal Calf Pet, but it's only available for a short time every single year, and you can see the pet over here. Now, in addition to that, there is more references to cow levels in other video games. This one by Wolfio over here. In Marvel Heroes, which, please bring back this game.
Please! Please!
This game was legit. If anyone has seen this game before, it was a really awesome game. In fact, they had, I think, Brevik, which is a Diablo 2 dev. He worked on this game as well, or oversight something on the game. I know he worked with him. Nonetheless, yeah, in Marvel Heroes, there was a secret cow level, which is amazing. I hope they bring this game back one day, maybe in some other form. But yeah, this game, oh man, this game just, it was awesome.
It was perfect. Perfect.
And the final one over here, you guys probably will not believe this is actually real, but this is actually from Diablo 1 Hellfire. This is a real Easter egg, and you won't believe it. Okay, I'm gonna like pause my music so you guys can actually hear what this boss says. So this is from Necrul. He's one of the bosses in Hellfire. This is a real Easter egg in Diablo 1. Listen to it.
Hi, I'm free to confront the one who banished me, little boy, Diablo. Hi, everybody, and I'm free to reward you, little mortal, with these Aerosmith tickets. You'll be getting backstage passes. You'll get to meet Steven Tyler and the whole band this Friday at the Coliseum. Thanks for getting me out of there. By the way, I'm gonna have to kill you.
Like, this is a real Easter egg, and if you told me that that was in Diablo, I would have never believed it. This video was in no particular order in terms of like my craziest and favorite Easter eggs, but I think the craziest Easter egg has to be that Diablo 1 Hellfire one. Check out the vids down below. I'll link him just in case you guys want to watch full of them in their entirety. But if you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. Happy Easter. Have a good one, guys. And if you guys would like to see more Diablo and other video game content in the future, subscribe to the bell if this is your first time here, and I'll see you in the next one. Let me know maybe which one was your favorite down below. Peace out.